bit.
Yeah, kid, all I'm on the rise.
Yeah. Turn me up a little bit more.
We like it. Yeah, kid,
I like that.
all I'm on the rise.
This is the remix.
And you don't want no problem
98.
with this guy.
Let's go.
I've been around. I've been around the world. I've been around.
We
I've
like
been around the world.
It's Film Friday, and I know. Where the fuck have I been? I don't know. Just out doing real film projects in the real world. And I've been just really busy. I've got a couple of feature films that I'm juggling, a play that opens up in January, some private corporation videos that I have to do, and something else too that I've completely forgotten about. So yeah, it's been super fucking busy, which is a good thing. But I had to come back by special request because the Diddy Documentary has hit those Netflix streets, and the hip hop streets and the streets in general are in shambles.
I am the fucking hardest hustler in the world. This is Savage Part 2. Don't tell me about shit. It's 2022 and I'm still a savage. Whatever I want, I get. Whatever I want, I fucking get.
It's crazy. I really don't like that guy.
So let's get into it. Now I'm just gonna let you know straight up. The real studio shade, no red carpet rundown, no nothing. We're just gonna dig and dive right into this documentary because I want to start by saying first and foremost that 50 Cent is exactly who he thinks he is. He drops the trailer for the documentary and the caption was unforgettable. It simply said, "They said I was capping. What happened? Nigga." Let's get into it. So first and foremost, the Reckoning documentary is being brought to us by executive producer 50 Cent, aka Curtis Jackson, aka Many Men, and director Alexandria Stapleton. Now, one thing that sticks out about this documentary is all the promo leading up to it because, you know, he put it out there that he was doing a documentary and we were like, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? Is he capping? Is he rapping? What's going on? And then, boom, here it is. Now, he's on Good Morning America with the director saying, I mean, everybody thinks I'm mad because, you know, he offered to take me shopping. It's not personal, nigga. It's always personal. It's absolutely always personal. And nothing could have been more personal than this. And what I love about this is that he kept this documentary exactly where it needed to be. See, this is the documentary that I wanted. I watched TMZ's documentary. I watched Diddy do it. I watched all that bullshit. And they were so focused on the salacious, sexual deviancy that nobody was paying attention to the what? The bodies that were hitting the floor.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
That's where all the attention needed to be for me. And that's exactly where this documentary put it. Let's get into that. But I must say, he did give him a fair shake. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did talk a little bit about his upbringing. He was pretty much raised in a wild-ass party house with little to no supervision, with a single mom who worked like 1,000 jobs. One of them might have been as a prostitute, allegedly. She might have been, selling off the rest of the stash of drugs that his dad left. I don't know. His mom is a very questionable character. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give her props for looking good at her age. She might have had some surgeries, allegedly, doesn't matter. Seems like she's a sweet old lady now, and she loves her grandkids. But we all know how our parents used to be back in the day. Now they old, and they just acting like they're saints, and they were so innocent. So anyway, that was his upbringing, okay? We get into, boom, he's in college, he drops out, boom, immediate scandal. First victim. And I mean, if we want to get technical, I've actually watched some documentaries where there were some people who were saying that they were victims, allegedly, while he was in college at Howard. But anyway, first victim, right off the rap, a music video, vixen, I guess. Not really. She just kind of got dragged into being into this video. And she doesn't want to say who called her and told her about the sexual assault. But I've watched another documentary, and I know who she said called her about that sexual assault. So, I mean, okay, so let's talk about sexual assault, right? Because almost everybody in this documentary that's worked with this man has claimed to be sexually assaulted, even the men. And I know what people think automatically, like, oh, he was raping the men. That's not necessarily true. Sexual assault in 2025 is classified as a lot of things. It's not even, you don't even have to be touched to be sexually assaulted. If you're my boss and you call me into your office and I walk in and someone's giving you oral sex, that is sexual assault. You just assaulted me because you just exposed me to a lewd and private act that I didn't ask or agree to be exposed to. That's sexual assault. So there's a lot of shit like that going on right off the rip and right off the gate. I'm not going to get into talking about his relationship with Andre Harrell, how sus the photos that they use look, how pretty much if you ain't a literate nigga, you can read between lines, to quote 50 Cent. You pretty much know there could have been something going on there. You know what I'm saying? If you're not illiterate and know how to read in between lines, allegedly. Shout out to Andre Harrell, may he rest in peace. But back to that girl. So she talks about how basically her sexual assault, she's saying that she was drugged, she was raped, and it was taped. I wasn't there. I'm not going to speculate on her experience. What I do know is that the person who called her happens to be a member of a very famous R&B singing group that Puffy helped discover, a singing group by the name of Jodeci. They happened to be in the studio with him, and that tape was played, and they knew old girl, that was their homegirl, one of them, I ain't gonna say which one it was, and this is all alleged, and he's the one that called her and said, yo, you know he got you on tape, right? So boom, that's where we start, right? And that's a hell of a place to start, but it goes on from there. Now, what I like about this, like I said, is let's go immediately to the bodies that are hitting the floor, because we're going to fast forward to that big celebrity basketball event that was held where 9 people lost their lives. They got actual footage of this man walking around looking lost and bewildered. Actual footage of the press conference and that bullshit ass speech. And what they didn't get was footage from family members and people who had lost people basically saying like, that was bullshit. It was a bullshit apology. Like nobody ever got paid. There was never any kind of recompense. And then it just flies into all of the Biggie and Tupac shit. So let's start with that. So we already have 9 bodies. Now we're not going to say you're directly responsible, but I've watched all of the Gene Deal interviews and I know that there was not enough security and you oversold that event. Whatever. Let's just say it was an unfortunate incident. Now let's get immediately into Biggie and Tupac. The way they surgically laid out how he is absolutely responsible and behind the death of Tupac, allegedly. I have to say that because, hey, I'm just a YouTuber and a producer. I'm not trying to get sued like Milagro Gams. Allegedly. You know what I'm saying? There's no denying it. These tapes with Keefy D on them basically saying that he gave us $1 million to kill Tupac and Suge. And it just so happened they got into a fight that night, but it wasn't like they just walked up to some random crip from Compton and stomped him out. He had snatched somebody's chain from death row. So phone calls are like, hey, this is the perfect opportunity to do what we paid you to do. And then it gets done and you call this man, he's saying, was that us? Was that us? Diddy. Guilty of sin, boy. You're guilty of sin. Okay? Now let's get into the Notorious B.I.G. And the foolery of it all. Like, one thing I love about New Yorkers is that they're fucking hilarious. And so it's like, every time a body dropped, they cut to footage of some Diddy. And it's like, okay, 9 people died. Boom. Very next footage, he's doing a Harlem Shake. He's doing a Running Man. Like, all right, boom. Tupac got shot. Very next footage, he's spinning. Like, how are we going from body dropping to Diddy bopping? You know what I'm saying? Like, 50, this was too much. Like, this was a masterpiece documentary. I'm not even gonna hold you. If you haven't seen this, you need to watch it because you are absolutely behind the death of Tupac. You have absolutely sat on every single broadcast that you could and vehemently denied it when you were asked.
Do you know who was responsible for the killing of Tupac Shakur?
No, I don't. I think that Sean now, in my mature mind, had a lot to do with the death of Tupac.
Now, we're going to get into what happened with the Notorious B.I.G. and how he was supposed to be in London, how you guys were explicitly warned not to come back to Cal. Like, LA is not a place. I am born and raised in LA. I'm sitting in Compton, California right now. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you rapper something. You want to come out here and play and you'll end up in jail or in hell. This is not a place to play. So when they say that they were explicitly warned to not be here, I believe that. People were upset when Tupac died. I'm going to age myself, but I was 12 years old in front of my radio crying. Somebody had to pay. And it was heartbreaking to watch footage of Biggie basically saying that I didn't even want to be involved in this. Like, that was his friend once upon a time. I don't even want to say anything. I don't want to get drugged into this. But you're basically being drugged into this for publicity. You're basically being made to drop who shot you after a nigga gets shot just for publicity. And then they got deep into what really started the East Coast, West Coast beef with that shooting from Suge Knight. Suge Knight is just a gangster. Shout out to Suge Knight and everybody from MLB Pyru. I don't bang, but listen. Those are my niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like, in real life. But it just got into some real street shit. And if you are around or if you know people, you know what's going on. Like, and just the Crip who killed Tupac. I know people who know him. It just, everything just lined up and all fingers are pointing back to Diddy. You making Biggie's estate pay for his funeral? And then, of course, in the very next clip, Diddy bopping on stage at the MTV Awards with Sting and a fucking gospel choir is nasty work. And I'm going to tell you something, Diddy. If you're out there watching, you're never going to recover from this, bro. Your career is never going to recover. Rest in peace, Tupac and Biggie Smalls. As if that wasn't enough, now we got to drag all of the carcasses of the bad boy artists out that never got a dime for their work. You know what I'm saying? And it's like whenever you were faced with questions about people not getting paid, you hit us with the Lil' Kim. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're ducking and dodging all of the he don't pay people allegations. And you can't dodge those allegations anymore because everybody can't be telling the same lie.
Yeah.
Everybody can't be telling the same lie. Like, this was surgical. How he went in here and dismantled every single thing. Now, he didn't get into any of the alleged Kim Porter stuff, but he had Al B. Shore there. He had his original business partner there that was basically strong-armed into signing over his shares of the company that he helped build.
How you feel about this lawsuit that Kurt Burrows got against Puffy?
Well, what I told you was, and you are a witness to this, I said back in the day, people used to think that Kirk Burrows and Diddy was lovers, or they had some kind of relationship like that. Remember I told you that? And you was like,
I remember that. You told me that years ago.
yeah, and you said to me, yo, you gonna speak about it? I said, nah, I ain't gonna speak about it, bro. You understand? I'm gonna wait till he speak about it. So people who had known that, I always knew that because I used to follow Puff to Kirk house when we had the building and the red zone, and we used to take the money from those clubs and we had to drop it off at Kirk house. So we wasn't dropping. He would, he was staying there. You spending the night at another house and you got a apartment with your girl somewhere else. Okay.
You have all of these sexual assault allegations. You got the latest producer of the Love album who never got a dime, even though you were up for Grammys. I mean,
that happened to me. I just don't even want to speak on it. You know what I'm saying? Some days those girls next to me woke up. Some days he was in the bed. I would wake up feeling sore, still not understanding exactly what's, you know what I'm saying, transpiring.
It was a lot going on. Where is Farnsworth Bentley? Where are you at, bro? You've been quiet as a fucking church house mouse, and I respect that. You said, leave me out of it. I'm married with kids. God bless everybody. But anyway, this producer is talking about, how there were freak-offs, and him and Justin were in a room with the door closed with a bunch of women. His son, Justin? I'm going to tell you something, Justin. All right? I'm going to tell you just like I'm going to tell Paris Jackson. That's not your daddy. Like, he's your dad, but he's not. Allegedly. And, if you know, you know. Like, because there's no way in hell that you should be in a room doing any sexual activity with your children present, whether they're underage or grown. That's just weird as hell. So that, if you can read between lines, also lets me know that there's a lot of sick shit going on. You still raised that boy though, so there's a lot of sick shit going on, and that is possibly not your biological child because he looks a lot like your former bodyguard Wolf. Allegedly. The internet street's been talking about that for years. You know what I'm saying? So, you're exposing your kids to drug use, allegedly. You got everybody around you getting high. I do feel like just for me, because, we've all, like, if you out here living life, you've been in the mix with some shit before. Some stories weren't adding all the way up. But again, I don't like to question people who are victims. We're just going to go with what you're saying. But when you're a grown man and you're waking up and saying, I don't know what happened. Sometimes I'm waking up with women next to me. Sometimes I'm waking up with him next to me and I'm sore and I don't know what happened. Why are you sticking around for this? I understand you're trying to get somewhere in your career, sir. But you got to have boundaries and you have to have morals. And when you don't, they're going to get compromised. And you have to take responsibility for that as an adult. All right. If it happens one time, shame on you. If we're recording an album for a year and a half and it's happened 25 times, I might have had a hand in this. I'm just saying allegedly. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. The documentary's out. It will not be retracted by Netflix. And the streets are talking like, Diddy, whatever they said you did. At this point, we're believing that you did that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because again, everybody can't be telling the same lie. This was a lot. And just the arrogance of it all. Like, you were facing a life sentence and you have videographers taping your every move, probably with the expectation that you were going to beat this case and you were going to do some bravado documentary about, can't stop, won't stop. And it didn't go like that. And the fact that, once all of the, charges went down and the verdict came out, you had already booked the Madison Square Garden thinking that you were going to get released, and that didn't happen. It's a lot. And now your legal team is threatening to sue Netflix when they have no legal grounds. Like, this footage was purchased fair and square. It's a baseless lawsuit that's going absolutely nowhere. But on the upside, Diddy, you are #1 again. So congratulations. The documentary is #1 and it's currently streaming on Netflix. Let me know in the comments if you've seen it or if you're going to watch it. I've streamed it twice. I just thought it was that nice. But that's all for this week in film news. Thank you for joining me. I will be back next week, I think, and I hope. Probably not. December's just so busy with projects. I may not see you again until January, but there's so many great projects coming out in 2026 that I'm excited. So again, maybe I'll see you, maybe I won't. But as always, I want to thank you for rocking with me. And until next time, this has been Film News You Can Use.